Everybody, I am so excited to share this video with you. So I have been thinking of different types of videos that I can put on my channel, different techniques, hacks, 5 ways to use something or 10 ways to use something, just different types of videos rather than just your normal card making videos and mixed media videos, just so that we can use what we have in our stash. I think that's my main idea here. And I decided to break out my hot glue gun and come up with 5 different ways that we can use them in our crafting, whether you're doing mixed media, well, more for mixed media than anything else. But you can definitely use these in card making, in art journaling, whatever types of crafts that you want to do. So I am, again, so excited to share this with you guys. And the one that I haven't seen anybody do is use a embossing folder to create a stamp with it. So that's what I did here. So pretty cool. I have lots of tips and tricks throughout the video, so I hope you stay with me. And this video is a little bit longer than normal, but I do have a lot to share and a lot to say, and different tips and tricks throughout each different technique that I'm going to be doing. So let's get started. I am going to be making a stencil. I am also going to be showing you how you can use embossing folders with your hot glue so you can use them as stamps. Also, of course, in the silicone mold, and then I will be sharing different projects that you can create with them as well. Let's see if Kelly is done. I think she's done. Also, using your hot glue as texture. Very simple and fun way to add a really easy texture to your projects. So I am going to start off with some tips first. So my first tip is to have some sort of mat. This one is, I don't know, it's like a plastic mat. It's the Ken Oliver mat. I also have the Easy Clean mat, and you can also use a glass mat, any sort of surface that hot glue will not stick to. That's very, very important. The next tip is to have lots of hot glue on hand. This is what I have left because I have been playing around all day. So having a lot of hot glue on hand, because you are going to be squeezing your hot glue out like a crazy person, and you are going to go through a lot of it. All right, the next one is having a silicone spatula so that you can push down or spread it out. You don't want to be touching the hot glue with your hands, of course. So anything that you need to, spread out or anything like that, a spatula is going to be very handy. This one is from Nuvo. I absolutely love these. There is 2 that come in a pack, and I will have all of the supplies listed down below as well so you guys can check them out. All right, another tip is to have a heat tool, not an embossing tool. You don't want it to be so hot that it starts bubbling. This one is great because this one, although it gets really, really hot, the heat isn't as directed as a embossing tool. So this one will work really well. This is the Ranger Heat It Craft Tool. So when I am doing the molds, I heat up the hot glue so that it stays hot long enough to where I can add all of the hot glue to whatever mold I am using. And it helps a lot because then I could spread it out if I need to or anything like that. So a heat tool is really helpful. All right, so those are my little tips before we get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is start with making a stencil. So before I created a few different stencils, and you could see that I already used this one. I used some sprays on it, but I am going to move all of this out of the way. And let's do some hearts. Let's do some hearts. Let's see if I can do some hearts. I don't know. I can't really draw hearts, so we'll see how this turns out. And I think that doing a stencil like this is really cool because then you have your own unique design, And then this is the, what brand is this? I don't even know what brand this is. I've had it for so long. But this one plugs in, but it also takes batteries. I don't use it with batteries because they just die out too fast. But I've had this glue gun for a long time. You can get other glue guns with a finer tip that I think might be a little bit better for this because then you can get a little finer lines. So I am just going to, and you want to make sure when you're making the stencil, you want to make sure that every shape that you do connects, because you don't want anything not to connect, or else it won't really be a full stencil. My hot glue gun is so squeaky. It's funny. All right, we're just doing hearts because before I did circles and triangles. All right, again, so I created the circles, then I also created some triangles, and then I even created like a zigzag-ish pattern. And then what I did to connect it was I added the glue to the sides. So you can use this, you know, you can kind of move it around or whatever. And the fun thing about using hot glue to create stencils or these types of shapes is that you can use these when you're done with them. So you get a few uses out of them. You can put these on a project, like a mixed media project, and then have and use it up that way. So that's pretty fun. So after I am done creating all of the embellishments and different things that I'm going to be using, I will be showing you how to use them in projects or like an art journal page or a mixed media project at the end of the video. So here I'm just going to show you all of the different techniques, and then I will show you how to use them at the end of the video. So stencils is the first one, which is pretty cool. All right, and it dries pretty, or I keep saying dry. I don't know why I keep saying dry. It cools down pretty fast, and I do have some paint and stuff on my mat. But how cool is that? All right, so I'm going to set that aside. All right, the next one is one that I honestly haven't seen in a different video before, is using a embossing folder with hot glue to create either, I don't know, something you want to put on a mixed media project, or so I am just going to show you how I used the embossing folder with the hot glue. And I was really worried at first, to be honest, about ruining my embossing folder, but it didn't do any harm to it. So you just want to put quite a bit on, depending on, you know, how big of a piece you want. And you kind of want it to glob up quite a bit, because once you close the embossing folder, it's going to smash down quite a bit. All right, and you don't want to put it next to the sides or else it will spill out. So we are just going to close that, smush it down, just like that. And we need to let this cool off quite a bit before opening it. Okay, so while this cools off in the embossing folder, I am going to show you how you can use your rubber stamps to create different embellishments or just something different for a project. So all you do is you lay down a very generous amount of hot glue again. I told you that you're going to be using hot glue like a crazy person. Okay. And all of these things are, you know, all of the embellishments you're going to create and different things are definitely not going to be perfect. They are perfect though for mixed media, because mixed media shouldn't be perfect, you know, it should be a little bit grungy and not perfect. So I'm going to lay down the stamp just like this, and then it will smush down, and I'm going to let that sit just for a second there. All right, so you could see it on the other side, but I am going to wait because it is still pretty warm. Okay. So it's hard to see, but you have a butterfly with all of that other texture on here. So on this stamp you have kind of like a blank spot here with just a little bit of lines and stuff which come up on here. So you can cut this out or kind of clean it up a bit and add it to a project. So that's pretty cool. So I did this stamp. This one is a Caramel Studio stamp. Let me get the packaging here. So that's what this one looks like. Let me see if I can figure out. There we go, just like that. And I used this one on this project here. So we'll get into that a little bit later. I'm getting excited. All right. So now that this is cooled off quite a bit, I think it's cooled off enough, I am going to show you that you can just open this up, and it sounds like it's going to break, but it's not, I promise. Okay, so you pull one side off, and then you're going to peel it off the other side. There we go. So now you have your little, I don't even know what to call this, embellishment stamp, hot glue gun stamp. There you go. All right, next is going to be the mold. So remember, I am going to show you guys how to use all of these items at the end of the video. And I am going to show you again the mold. But for when I'm using the mold, or when I'm using the hot glue in the mold, I like to use my heat tool along with it so that it keeps that hot glue hot while I add all of that hot glue to the mold. And clay and resin and everything can get pretty expensive over time, especially if you're using a lot. And if you're anything like me, I always run out, and then I want to use something on a project, and then I don't have any clay or anything to use. So I am definitely going to start using more hot glue in my molds. Again, I wouldn't recommend using it for more intricate pieces, but for more basic things like this, I think it's really great. So I am actually going to heat this up because I want to get it to the side here, and then that way it heats up and then it kind of flows a little bit better. All right, we are going to let that cool off, that one, but I'm going to show you this one here. It kind of got a little bit hot because I was using the heat gun, but you could see, sorry for my squeaky chair, you could see here, and then these are the ones that I used some black gesso and then added some metallic wax to. So pretty cool, and again, I will show that later in the video. But I'm going to show you how to create just some basic texture. This is pretty simple. It's not rocket science. And I'm just going to take my hot glue, and if I were to be making a canvas or something and I wanted to add some lines or, you know, just some basic texture, something different, this is what I would do. Okay. And then you can add gesso, you can add sprays, whatever you want. And all the stringies are driving me nuts, but part of it. All right, so again, we're going to let that cool off. Okay. The last one I am going to show you is how to make little, I guess little pearls, or I like to use the melange pebbles from Prima, and those can get a little pricey, and I use them up so often, especially the really small ones. And if you don't have any other pearls or any other like enamel dots or anything, you can make your own with hot glue. So I'm just going to show you, and I'm going to try and show you guys my little tip here. So what I do is I take the hot glue, make sure it's really hot, and then I leave the hot glue gun in the hot glue, if that makes sense, and then I pull it up and then twist. I waited a little bit too long, so it got a little bit too stringy, but it kind of levels itself out, which is really nice. And then depending on how big you want them, you know, you can do really small. It's hard to do it sideways like this, so I'm going to show you guys like this. Do small ones. Just, you know, the possibilities are endless. You can do all sorts of different things, make your own and little embellishments, and then add them like I did. Where did that piece go? Oh, here it is. So I added them right here to this little, I don't even know what it's called. It's not really a project. I was just kind of creating with what I made with the hot glue. So that's pretty fun. All right, so I have a few different ideas here that I started. So I added a coat of gesso, and I added one of the clock pieces that I created in the mold, and then also some of those little pebbles that I created with the hot glue as well. And then this is that cardboard that I just added the lines with the hot glue with. So I'm going to use some Art Alchemy Wax on this one, and then I used this tag just to create some texture onto the tag, and I'm going to use some sprays on here. And then on this tag is one that I was playing around with when I was using my gloss gels, or my gloss sprays from Dina Wakley. And I used the gel plate and kind of smushed it in all of that spray on the gel plate. And I'm going to use the piece that I made with the, what is this called? The embossing folder, to use it as a stamp onto my tag. And also I am going to use my stencil. I'm not going to use a heart. I want to use the triangles. I think the triangles are my favorite. So I'm going to use a triangle stencil on my tag with the sprays, and then also again using the stamp that I created with the embossing folder. So tons of different ideas that you can use and you can try out. So let's do the tag first. So I want to do this tag first. Move this stuff out of the way. All right, I'm going to use the stamp first, and you want to make sure that you're using a pigment ink. This is one that will not bleed, so it's permanent. And I gotta figure out which side is the best. All right, so I'm just going to ink this up just like I would any other stamp. And just lay it down. You guys should tell me I'm off frame. I'm a little zoomed in, that's why. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit more on here and then a little bit down this side here. Of course, this does not have to be perfect because I'm just kind of playing around here, but I hoped that these 5 techniques will give you an idea of what you can do. All right, so I'm going to use the stencil now that I created with the hot glue, the triangle one. I'm going to place it up top, and then I'm actually going to kind of mask off some of the area down here because these do have a little bit of an overspray. And this is the Media Gloss Spray from Dina Wakley, the white one. All right. So, okay. Hello, Tiffany. Get it on the tag. All right, there we go. Okay. Then I'm going to flip it around and then stamp that spray that got onto the hot glue onto the tag. And there we go. All right, now I'm going to take another tag and then use this. Don't want to waste any of that ink. I'm going to press that down. There we go. And of course it's not perfect, but you know, you can add lots of different texture to a project. So that kind of toned it down a little bit, and then that way I can add a little bit more of a focal point there. The white spray definitely is very, it covers a lot, and you can layer the gloss sprays on top of each other once they're dry. All right, so this is the first tag that I've made with the stencil, and then I stamped this on to it, just like that, so you guys get another idea. Now we're going to create this look. So this is our Alchemy Wax with the with black gesso, which is one of my favorite things to do. So we have the piece here, and I also have this. Let's use white gold. So I'm just going to use my finger and take this little piece here and just buff the top of it to get all of those raised areas. Isn't that pretty? And look at all of that, how far that goes. And I still have some on my finger. Obviously, if you were making a project, you would definitely want to have a little bit better composition than this and be a little bit more mindful of your lines and things. I don't know if you guys have been hearing the cat throughout the video. She is very needy right now. She has these balls that she likes, and they're little teeny balls, and they go missing quite often, so we have to go searching for them. So I think that's what she's wanting, but I want to finish this video first. All right, so next we are going to use some sprays on here, and I'm actually going to use some of these sprays. So this is a Color Bloom spray, and we are just going to maybe spray it just like that. And of course it resists it because it is plastic. You could add gesso to this. I got black all over it, but I think you guys get the idea. You can add white gesso to it and then the spray will stick to the gesso. But that just kind of gives you another idea. You can use it as a resist as well. I think I covered everything that I wanted to, and here is another look at what we created with some hot glue. And nowadays there is glitter, hot glue, colored hot glue, all sorts of different hot glues that you can use. So the possibilities are definitely endless. All right, so that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to share it. I would love for you to share this with one of your friends, tag somebody on Facebook, share it on Instagram, however you like to share YouTube videos. Also, leave me a comment down below letting me know which technique, I don't even know what to call these, techniques, hacks, I don't know. Which one was your favorite, and if you use any of these in your crafting, and if you have any other ideas, I would love to hear them, and we can strike up a conversation in the comment section down below. And let's see, if you are new to my channel, I hope you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time that I upload a video. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys later.